already got someone on here, so.
Oh, okay.
All right. See, we're getting some people tuning in. Thanks for joining us for another post-game show. We finally get to do an exciting one here because that was probably all around best they've looked this season.
Yeah, maybe with the exception of the last 2 minutes and the first 3 or 4. Yeah, I agree. And what was especially encouraging to me, knowing Xavier's a good team, knowing that they were going to put together a couple runs in the second half, and each time they did, UConn came right back at them. There was not really a sign of this being a team that couldn't handle it mentally, which is not something we've been able to say all year. So that was especially encouraging. And of course, RJ Cole having the best game of his season. Thought Whaley had a much needed, really good game. Polly had a couple of big shots. Really a lot to like in this one. And knowing that, maybe Book Night's pretty close because it sounded like he was looking good in warmups too. So that's an added bonus.
Yeah, no, I really do think with the few exceptions that we mentioned there, this really was the best the team has looked this year. And you were starting to see things that we've seen bits and pieces of throughout the season come together. We've been talking about RJ Cole and what can he do? And he showed us what he could do today. His best game as a Husky for sure today. Isaiah Whaley, who hasn't done a whole lot, finally was hitting some threes, doing a little bit of everything today, starting to contribute a little bit more offensively, which we hadn't seen as much of. Andre Jackson looked good in the minutes that he played. And I think we have to make sure we touch on the return of a Cook because that seemed to be the spark plug that really got them going in the first half when they were struggling out of the stretch.
Yeah, only 7 minutes for a Cook. I was surprised. I don't think we saw him at all in the second half. And if we did, maybe it was just for a minute or two. But 3 for 4 from the field, hit that three that got them going and had that nice drive to the basket as well. That was great to see. And he certainly did seem to give you kind of a little injection of energy there in the first half. That definitely, I mean, that's huge if he ends up being a factor down the stretch for this team. If for no other reason than it's another body to have in the middle and probably the most talented one right now.
Absolutely. And one thing I think was big about this game and something I've been harping on for a while and we've been talking about was the tempo of which the team was going to be playing with. And today they certainly seemed to step it up a bit and play with a much faster tempo. You could see, and you could just see, kind of after that slow start, it seemed like they just kind of said, I don't know, screw it. Let's go out and see what happens. And it worked out in their favor.
Yeah. And I mean, they were getting good looks and taking them. Which that's really all you needed to do. Like UConn wasn't running Xavier off the court.
No,
they weren't doing anything insane. But when RJ Cole had a good look, he took it. When Whaley had a good look, he took it, etc. So that was good. And we weren't seeing UConn wait until 16 seconds left on the shot clock to get into their offense at all.
Yep.
Everything seemed to be done with purchase, which is great.
Yeah, and I think there was one point where it was Donnie Marshall who said, like, this team, when you've got Andre Jackson at the top of the key, let him shoot that three if there's 15 seconds left on the shot clock. Get the board and start things from there if that's how it is. I see we've got someone who's calling in again. We are taking calls. We like having fun with that. So links in the Twitter feed if you want to give us a call. Oh, looks like they disappeared. So did not want to talk to us quite yet. Yeah. Let's see, what else do we got here? Like a dime back. Remember the Josh Carlton era? Yeah, you didn't see him at all. You didn't see Brendan Adams at all today. It seemed like Hurley tightened things up and just kind of ran with that.
Yeah, you didn't see them at all, and you didn't see Adama Sanogo for more than how many minutes did he play? Oh, I guess he did play 22 minutes, but he wasn't nearly as much of a factor either. I think once Hurley saw that Whaley was the best option against Fremantle, he ended up being the guy, and there was really no need for Josh Carlton.
Right.
He wasn't going to provide anything that the other guys didn't already bring to the table. And when you find a matchup that's working, it was good to see Hurley stay with it. I thought Whaley was excellent defensively today, even though Fremantle obviously filled it up. I think Whaley did his job.
I don't think something that was talked about quite as much is I just from what I've noticed, and it kind of hit me today, as Sanogo's minutes have continued to go up, and he's really kind of taken the stake there at the 5, and you kind of play Whaley a little bit more at the 4. That's where the decline has started. And today you saw him, I think, go back to the 5 a bit more with Sanogo playing some fewer minutes and him taking on that challenge of Fremantle. So that was interesting to me to see today.
Yeah, Whaley is a little bit more versatile defensively. He can do a little bit more than Sanogo, at least at this point. And we know how valuable Sanogo is, particularly on offense, which is not something you usually say about a freshman big man. So certainly you'll still see him get his minutes. He'll still play plenty. But Whaley was the guy today. And also, but by the way, shouldn't take anything away from Tyrese Martin, who I thought had an excellent game as well.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. I think we got a call in here. You're on with us live. What were your thoughts today? Can you hear us? It says you Kemba 15.
Oh, Kemba's calling in.
Any luck? We'll go once. Yeah.
We seem to not have great luck with people calling in.
I know. I don't know what it is. Test your audio, everyone. But and I know you mentioned Tyrese there. One thing that was interesting to me, the two guys that Hurley kind of called out yesterday for being beat up and might not play, probably had two of the better games on the team with Whaley and Martin.
Yeah, I think Hurley did a great job of scaring the crap out of everybody before this game started. And what happens? Well, Martin comes in, scores 15 points, 6 of 11 shooting, 9 rebounds, and he played with a lot of confidence today. You saw it in the way he took the ball to the basket. Would have been nice if he didn't brick 2 free throws down the stretch again, but whatever.
And he redeemed himself by making the 2 there to kind of seal it for sure. But definitely just nice to see the improvement from this team. It just looked like they were playing with a lot more confidence. Definitely some fire under them today, which I think is going to go a long way. It does seem like, well, after last game, I was a little worried about if we were going to see Bouknight back again, just based on the reports. But from what Dave Borge said earlier this week about him thinking that he will be back and seeing him take some of those warm-up shots today, it does seem like he should be back at some point, hopefully in the next couple of weeks.
I mean, the story changes every day.
Yeah.
So who knows? I think the fact that the media has become pretty vocal about how frustrating this whole process has been with Bouknight might help at least get some clarity here. But if the reports are to be believed, it looked like he could play, that he could have played today. And if that's the case, maybe we see him on Tuesday. And that becomes a whole different game against Providence.
Yep. Yeah, it really does. And I think this team has definitely gotten some good takeaways from this game that you could apply to that game against Providence in the rematch there. Again, defensively, I thought they were much better today. You took another all Big East player in Scruggs and really held him again, and we're seeing this as a common theme game over game with them being able to really lock down some of the better scorers in the Big East. You saw it with Zagorowski. Let's see if this caller will work. We'll give it a try here. Josh, can you hear us? Yeah.
Maybe it's something you're doing.
No. It worked last week when we had a couple.
We just had Josh Carlton call in and immediately hang up.
Oh, losing reception as they're heading out there. How do you feel about, because it seemed like, all right, we'll try one more. Mark, can you hear us? Please. Mark, any luck? Going once. All right, I'm sorry for the frustration with the calls. No, you don't have to be on a computer for this.
Jared's mad now.
No, because I think if you saw last week, Rod Sellers was on, and he was clearly on from his cell phone when he did this. You could tell by the the black bars on the side there. So you can do this from a cell phone. It maybe takes a little more work or something, but it does do the trick. I
think literally everybody else is the issue here, and we're fine.
Right. Exactly.
That seems to be the problem.
Exactly. So it's interesting for me because coming off the game against Providence, the whole fan base was really down in the dumps, and you could feel like, hey, you saw the movement in the bracketology. You saw this team fall into the first 4 out, next 4 out, those type of categories. And then you get a game like today, which all of a sudden just flips things completely on its head, I'd say. And now you start to say, hey, you just got to win against Xavier on the road without James Bouknight. Team looks pretty good. Bouknight could possibly be coming back relatively soon. And even if he isn't back, it at least gives you some idea in thoughts that this team, hey, might be able to pull things out and right the ship a bit.
Yeah, it's a quad 1 win, which, first of all, for resume purposes is huge. So that's great. And also, we kept saying you can't get too down on this team until Bouknight comes back, because if he comes back, they're a tournament team, and sure. But what you really didn't want was to get into a situation where that Villanova game on Saturday is a must win.
Right.
And had they lost this, that Villanova game would have become a lot more important. Now get a little momentum going into Tuesday. You could beat Providence too. Then, you take your chances at Villanova, see what happens. It's suddenly not nearly as big a deal, especially with games against Georgetown and Marquette, 2 of the teams near the bottom of the Big East to come right after that.
Yeah, no, again, really just, it's amazing what a difference of a few days and a much better performance can do for everyone, because it really did seem like this team came out. The urgency wasn't right there the first couple minutes, which I had expected. But again, Xavier did come out hot after their pause, which surprised me a bit, but interesting nonetheless. I think it's time now. We'll go to our favorite segment here.
Yeah.
And it is time for the Wanky's Yankee Hot Pepper Products Player of the Game. And I think today might be the first game that we've done one of these where I don't know if we're going to be unanimous on this, or like there are multiple options this game, I would say.
Multiple players had very good games, but I think one is clearly above the rest. And to me, that's RJ Cole.
Yep. So we will be
points, 7 of 14 shooting, 5 of 7 from 3, 7 assists, 4 rebounds. Kind of stabilized the team with a couple of free throws near the end. Took good care of the ball, only turned it over once. He seemed to be the guy. This was his best game as a Husky.
Yeah, I agree with you on RJ Cole. And I think what's interesting is these 2 games where he's come off the bench, he's really been pretty good. Because last game too, even though the overall team effort was ugly, 14 points last game, 6 assists. What was he? 33% from 3. So he's starting to get some consistency, I think, in his approach off the bench. Maybe fired him up a little bit, but it's going to be interesting to see going forward, because it seems like Gaffney had really stolen that role. But since Gaffney's entered that starting lineup, I feel like he's kind of taken a couple steps back.
Yeah, he kind of gave him a pass against Providence. He picked up those 2 early fouls, never really got into it. He didn't look great today, and I think the one play everyone's going to remember from this game is when he had an easy look at a layup and instead decided to throw it at about 80 miles an hour off of, I think it was Sanogo's hands.
Yeah, about a foot away from him too.
Yes.
Yeah, because he had that one. And I think it's because he botched that first layup too on the fast break he had.
It looked like he was anticipating contact there.
Yeah.
And it just never came.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I think we agree on the RJ Cole front today as the Wanky's Yankee Hot Pepper Products Player of the Game. Congratulations to him. His first, I think it's his first one that he's had here. So we've spread these out pretty nicely amongst the team here. I don't think we've had a repeat Wanky Yankee Player of the Game yet.
And we won't on Tuesday either, because that Player of the Game will be James Bouknight.
Yeah. If he just plays any minute, just 1 minute on the court, and he gets the award just for being back.
I agree.
But heading into Providence, I guess we could wrap with this. Thoughts that you think that they could take away from this game and apply to the rematch against Providence that could help them come out with the win, unlike the other night.
Stay aggressive. I think that's the biggest thing to me. I mean, UConn had a good shooting game, right? Mm-hmm. Made 11 threes. 11 of 26 overall there. You can't count on that happening every game, as great as that would be. But what you can count on, for example, After Xavier went on that run to tie the game, about 10 minutes left, UConn came down twice in a row, got to the basket, got 2-and-1s.
Yeah.
That sort of, taking it at the basket, not being afraid of contact, and, fighting for the loose balls, fighting for the rebounds, that sort of thing you can carry game to game. And, we talked about this the other day against Providence. UConn got beat to a lot of 50-50 balls. You didn't see that nearly as much in this game.
No. Definitely, because you could see just even like say the brick free throws from Xavier, Tyrese Martin was getting those rebounds. They were scrapping it out there. So I definitely think that's a big takeaway for this game. So Tuesday against Providence, we'll see if they can redeem themselves, get 2 in a row heading into Villanova. Fingers crossed, maybe we get a return of James Bouknight, ease him into things before Villanova, right? We don't want his first game to be against Villanova, but if he happens to choose that one, goes for 40, I think we'll sign for it.
Yeah, I wouldn't hit him against Villanova just so it's not his first game back.
Yeah. But yeah, all right. Thanks everyone for hopping on today. We're excited we were able to do one of these after a win. We've kind of struggled with these past few weeks. It's been a few down in the dumps ones, but today's a great way to get back on track and hopefully finish the season strong. So thanks again for everyone who joined us. Have a great weekend. We'll see you again on Tuesday night.
All
right. Thanks.
Yep.
And and for everyone out there, I'm going to try to fix this calling thing. I don't know why we couldn't get Kemba or Josh Carlton on the line today.
We even had Marcus Zagorowski call. Great.
We'll make sure we get that worked out for next time. So everyone have a great weekend. We'll talk to you later.